Hello everyone. So it's been 5 years since World War Z, the game was released back in 2019, and it was released again on Steam on 21st September 2021. And if you go on Steam and read the description, it says that World War Z is a heart-pounding cooperative third-person shooter. The purpose of this video is, however, to argue that this is not a cooperative game. Now, my intentions to this video is that hopefully people will watch this and understand this game a bit more, and if a developer watches this, maybe we will have better cooperative future games. Then that will be something. But nonetheless, I have 7,000 hours in this game and I know a lot of stuff about this game, and I tried everything and been playing this game for a long time. I like this game and I like the core and the fundamental idea of this game of being horde and shooting and maybe a bit cooperation. But again, the objective of this video is to show that this is not a cooperative game. So I had this idea of making this video since a long time, but I never made this video. But I thought now it's 5 years, so let's talk about this. So here we go. So first of all, let me give you a brief overview of how this game works. So this game has many maps, and you along with your team will spawn in one of those maps, and as soon as you spawn, zombies will start showing up and they will start overrunning the map and start hurting you. There is also another thing called as gate in this game, and gate could be a physical gate or a NPC which has specific amount of health, and the zombies will start overrunning the gate as well. And you have a set amount of time to get rid of the enemies on the gate or on the NPCs. And if you do that, then you are okay, you pass the game. And also, you have to be alive. So, the winning condition in this game is to clear the gate of zombies and to save the NPCs from the zombies and to save yourself from the zombies. And all of them have to be alive. I mean, players do not have to be alive, but one of the player has to be alive for the game to be won. The map is basically a confined area where players are able to move and the zombies start spawning in. And the zombies have nowhere else to go other than to the gate or to the players. So at the end, you have to kill the zombies to win in this game. And you cannot not kill zombies. In other games, there are different things, like there are different mechanics which allow players to get past zombies or enemies and still win. But in this game, you have to kill specific amount of zombies to either be alive or to save the gate or an NPC. So for the winning condition to be met, you have to kill zombies. You have to kill zombies in this game. Killing zombies is the highest priority than anything else because dead zombies do not deal damage. Dead zombies cannot hurt you. So if you kill the zombies, you will not get hurt. If you kill the zombies, gate will not be overrun. If you kill the zombies, nothing will happen and you will win. So I just want to make this very important point clear that in this particular game, killing enemies or zombies is the most important thing than anything else. Before I get into the main topic of explaining why World War Z is not a cooperative game, I first want to talk about what makes a game cooperative game. So I have a few criteria to fulfill for a game to be a cooperative game. First, keeping teammates alive should be a priority in a cooperative game. Increasing play time should be a priority. In a solo game, dying or not surviving is fine because after you are dead, you can just restart the game and try again. But in a cooperative game, if you are dead, you spend a lot of time doing nothing and just watching the team play the game for you. You are not helpful to the team while being dead. You can't do anything. You are just wasting the time. This is why increasing everyone's time should be a priority in a cooperative game. Players should not get rewarded if teammates die. Teammates dying should not be beneficial to anyone. This is my first criteria, and a very important one. Second, covering teammates should be a mechanic in a game to be cooperative. So covering could be something like shooting around teammates to keep the enemies off of them so that they get hurt less from the enemies, or taking out important targets before they get to the players. So covering is very important. It could also be healing or reviving. However, you have to be careful to not connect healing and reviving to the abilities of the players, because what happens when healing and reviving is connected through the abilities, people just keep on healing and reviving without actually directly covering or actually trying to keep teammates alive. This is a bad consequence which happens where people do not do objectives or do not do anything except healing and reviving, and therefore covering should be having some sort of healing effect or some sort of reviving, but it shouldn't be the main ability which you have in a cooperative game. Also, reviving shouldn't benefit anyone except that the amount of healing that is offered to the team or the teammate. That is the only benefit. There shouldn't be an extra benefit of healing or reviving. Your punishment of not healing or reviving is that you are one down on a teammate and you have higher chance of failure. That is the punishment. So your punishment is increased chance of failure, but you shouldn't get rewarded for healing or reviving. You are getting punished, yeah, but you are not rewarded. The reward should be killing or protecting or keeping the team alive more. Third, objectives are very important in the co-op game and they should be accomplished with an alive team. There shouldn't be a thing where teammates are dead and one guy is just trying to solo the entire thing by themselves. This isn't a cooperative game. Objectives needs to have the team alive to accomplish those tasks or objectives together. That is the purpose of a cooperative game. And these are my three criteria, and these are very important. Now, World War Z as a game on the hardest difficulty extreme doesn't fulfill any of these three criteria. And to actually justify my arguments, I'm just gonna have to show you the class and the weapons and they'll speak for themselves. I do not want to show any gameplay or any clips because that would just make the video way longer than I would want it. But if you actually are interested in anything further than my arguments, then I would be happy to provide you my Discord, and actually we can have some discussion and provide every single thing and argument and clips about my arguments. So let's get into it. So there are like 8 classes and every class has different set of talents, and anyone can use any class and any perks they want to spawn in with the game. Now the main issue in this game is the masking effect. The masking effect is basically invisibility, the cloak or the stealth, whatever you want to call it. And the problem is that when a player is invisible, all the enemies or all the zombies which are aggroed onto the player at that moment do not actually disappear, do not actually stay there. They will immediately and really fast aggro some other players, and the other players actually would not even know about this. They wouldn't know if someone else is invisible, and suddenly they would have bunch of zombies on them which they would least expect, and they would have to deal with more zombies and they might get hurt, they will go down and they would need healing. So this class, again, the medic class, which actually uses the masking effect. There are many other classes like fixer, slasher, exterminator, dronemaster which have masking effect. And by the way, every single class can use masking effect even if they do not have the talent, because the weapons, if you go into the weapons, there is a weapon called as pistol which has ghost, and then the PDW which has ghost. Then these perks actually can activate the masking effect. So again, anyone can use masking effect in the game and cause the zombie to de-aggro of you or other players, and they will harm other players in a way that those players have to deal with more zombies. So what if I'm using masking effect to save someone else? But the problem here is you are saving someone else and causing harm to other players. No, you are making someone else's problem go somewhere else and causing that problem to be a problem of someone else. Now this doesn't have to be a problem. This doesn't have to be an issue when you could have used any other class and dealt more damage, such that you wouldn't need to have to send zombies and protect team at all. When the zombies are dead, they do not deal damage and everyone is safe and the gate is safe and the mission is success. So the medic and all the classes and everything which uses masking effects to survive cause this another problem which isn't the problem. The main problem are the zombies. And using masking effect just causes another problem to happen, which is the oscillation of zombies and enemies from player to player. And every player, depending on how good they are, they can handle the zombies or they cannot. And there often happens that those players will go down, and therefore masking is really bad. It is really something which is antisocial. Other games also have these effects and they have the same effects, and people actually do not like masking effects. Now, if you specifically go into the medic class, you can argue that I'm saving the team and my intentions were good, and some people need the healing and the steam. What about them? And some people can argue that I actually use medic a lot and masking a lot, and I do not see these antisocial effects in my games. So I'll explain why this is the case. If you are in a game and using masking effects and you see no antisocial things happening, you see no aggroing and de-aggroing, this means that your team is actually killing all the zombies. There are no zombies to harm anyone. There are no zombies to send aggros to. So if you are killing all the zombies, then the bad effects of using masking doesn't really takes place. So ultimately, you are actually solving the problem. Therefore, the masking problem, the problem of unintentional harm due to masking doesn't happen because you are actually solving the problem in the first place. And by the way, if you are actually able to kill all the zombies before, then you are actually playing in the wrong difficulty. You should be playing a higher difficulty where you are actually having to deal with more zombies or screen close than no zombies and no aggro and de-aggroing the zombies of many teammates. Now, the other argument is like, what if a player actually needs a lot of steams and masking to save? Then I would just say that they are playing on the wrong difficulty. If there is a player who needs a lot of reviving and masking and steams on the set difficulty, then they are playing on the wrong difficulty again. Then they should be choosing a lower difficulty where they could handle the zombies themselves without needing any single healing or reviving or masking. Now, on lower difficulties, this problem isn't that much worse because the zombies aren't a threat, so they do not actually hurt you a lot, and that is why masking is more helpful on lower difficulties. So you might be better off playing lower difficulties, but playing masking on higher difficulties and sending zombies to classes which are gas cannons, and they are going to get hurt a lot, and the extra steam and masking you provide isn't going to be helpful because those steam and masking just gets evaporated within a couple of seconds. So ultimately, you could be a better player by just choosing a damage class and get better at the game and deal more damage and save teammate in that way, rather than basically avoiding all the zombies and having to then band-aid and actually cure the symptom instead of actually curing the cause of the problem. So this is the problem with all the masking effects and the classes. Now, specifically going to the medic class, if you see all the perks icons in this class, it has to do with steaming and healing, and it does nothing else. The damage is really less. The only way you can deal damage with medic class is using heavy weapons and broken weapons which cause really high damage, and using a chainsaw. So moving on to fixer, the fixer has the same masking effect, but this time it has this class has a cloud effect. So instead of individually stimming, giving masking to individual players, you can make the entire team invisible. But the problem is, when you are invisible, when the entire team is invisible, the zombies are not going to go somewhere else. They are going to basically just stand there and wait for your masking to go away so that they can attack you again. Instead, you could just kill them as soon as they spawn. So you are just delaying the inevitable onslaught of zombies. Why do that? Just kill them. The cloud also makes the visibility of the players go away, so it gives bad visibility. If you are inside the cloud, it doesn't actually help you kill the zombies. The explosive ammo which a fixer has actually causes a lot of friendly fire instead. It has high damage to the zombies, but the consequence is it also damages your teammates more. You are at some point unintentionally cause certain amount of friendly fire, because friendly fire is a good mechanic in this game. It needs to have a place in this game for the game to be challenging, so that people just do not actually explode everything in the air. So friendly fire should be a thing, and the consequence of this explosive ammo is that you are going to somehow unintentionally at some points cause some friendly fire. And if you have explosive ammo, the friendly fire is exaggerated to the point that you will end up killing your team and downing them, and you have to revive them. Now, talking about reviving, the entire class, if you see at the icons, is just this hand perks, which is like reviving. Like, look at how many hand perks are there in this class. So what this class basically does is relying on reviving. It relies and hopes that people are going to go down in their game so that they use their perks. If no one goes down, then all your perks are useless. So you are actually a useless class, because if team doesn't needs reviving, you are useless. If team does actually need reviving, they shouldn't, because they are bad at the game and they should actually play at a lower difficulty. You are just again bandaging the symptom of a problem instead of curing the problem and its causes before the problem becomes a problem. So this is a bad class. Now moving on to the slasher class, it has again the masking perk. You just have to melee some 10 zombies and you get free masking. And this class is basically a melee based class. Every single thing in this class is melee focused. The problem of being a melee class in a shooter game is that you end up just meleeing around and you do not get to shoot the zombies in the front line. What happens because of this is uh, more zombies are now running and overrunning the map and getting close to the teammates for them to get hurt. Instead, you could just damage classes and kill the zombies before they come close. You do not have to stun the zombies. You do not have to melee around and kill the zombies slowly. You could just kill the zombies upfront and avoid them coming close to the gate and coming close to the players at all. So again, a very bad class and very antisocial. You do not need a melee class in a shooter game. Talking about Exterminator, this again has this cloak and dagger masking effect. This is infinite as long as you have zombies around, and as long as you have ammo, you will always be invisible and get 3 seconds of masking effect every small amount of cooldown. The thing is, you are going to send all the strays and specials again to every single teammate. The same effect of masking happens with this class. This class also has this ghost effect where you are literally hoping your team is dead at some point in the game, so you receive this masking. The game, a cooperative game, shouldn't allow any team to benefit from the entire team being dead. Like, it should actually punish you if the entire team is dead. You should actually die and you should be having really hard time to survive. But what it does basically is people are happy because now they get free masking and they are now able to somehow clutch the game with these two masking perks. So, and it is making this game uncooperative. Talking about Dronemaster, you can either use a pistol drone or a stun drone. So what a pistol drone does is basically kills every single zombie and wipes the screen off of zombies, so you don't have to do anything. Now the consequence of that is basically you are somehow unintentionally targeting some enemies which cause harm to the teammates. For example, it could explode the bomber, which could make the rewards from that bomber unusable, and someone could be actually trying to defuse the bomber, and that player doesn't get the chance to reap the rewards, or they do not get, they get denied of the kill, they get denied of those rewards just because the pistol just automatically targets the bomber and explodes them. It can also actually shoot the gas bag in the body, not in the head, so again deals a lot of damage, and those things can hurt players unintentionally. And this is why this is really antisocial. And the problem with stun drone is that you will end up stunning a lot of zombies around you. The stun effect is that a player will get stun locked between zombies. That player cannot move around, it cannot dodge or do anything, cannot move away from a bomber or a bull or a juggernaut which cannot get stunned. So the bad consequence of having a stun drone is basically you are getting locked and you cannot melee around, and this is very antisocial and uncooperative. Moving on to the Vanguard class. By the way, the drone also has masking effect, so I forgot about that. So again, the same thing. I do not have to explain masking again. Moving on to Vanguard class. The Vanguard is basically the most brain dead class, and I would say that you have to do nothing in this class to survive. You have literally unlimited shield, and the shield can tank a lot of zombies, and every 3 seconds you pull up the shield, you are invulnerable to all the zombies except gasbag, which you can headshot and not have to deal with him, and you have melee damage. So again, this is a melee class in a shooter game which has god mode, and by pressing two buttons and pulling up shield every 3 seconds, you are invulnerable from all zombies. All you do is basically press two buttons and have god mode all the time. Now you could do that, but the thing is, you are allowing more zombies which you could instead kill and protect the team. You are allowing the zombies to pile up on the gate and intentionally or unintentionally causing players more harm, because now the zombies are going to overrun the map, which you could instead kill them, but you are not, because you are trying to just pull up the shield and melee around, which doesn't really work. So this is again a really bad class, a really uncooperative class. And by the way, what happens when players are overrun? They die at some point, and when all of them die, you have this perk inspirational, which you use to kill 15 zombies which are piled up on the gate or something, and you respawn a teammate and be happy because you actually respawn a teammate. But this is actually a really antisocial way to play. You are actually not helping and covering the team. You are instead letting them die, and now they are respawning after you use this perk. So why not just kill the zombies before and prevent death of a player? This is really bad when a cooperative game calls itself cooperative, but it has these perks which actually benefits and rewards of your team when your teammates are dead. This is really bad. Moving on to the other classes called as Gunslinger and Hellraiser, which are slightly better classes because they have less antisocial perks, but they do have, and I will point them out. Now, talking about Gunslinger, you have action hero, and it's not over. So these perks are literally relying on your teammates being dead at some point in the game, so you can use those extra 7 seconds of unlimited ammo. You do not have to use this perk. You could use better perks and help actually the team killing the zombies. Instead, you would choose these perks and then rely and hope that the team dies so that you could use these perks. Again, there are some other bad perks which are like Encore and Judo. Like, you are literally relying on you getting down or getting pinned, which you do not have to when you would actually become good at the game. Then you do not need this perk. You could use a better perk and help the team kill the zombies, help the team cover you and yourself and save the gate. So instead of choosing all these antisocial perks, you could be a better player by choosing other perks. Now, talking about Hellraiser, this class also has some bad perks, which is again red alert or alert red. Uh, it basically explores a C4 and causes a lot of gas around. The problem with this, the gas is really causing visibility issues to the team, so the team or the teammates are not able to see through the gas of any incoming harm or any incoming zombies or a bull towards them, and they are going to die because now they cannot see the zombies which they are supposed to dodge and kill. So again, you are harming the team by using this perk. You could use another perk like unshakable self-inflicted explosive damage reduced by 100%. Is same as something called as dragon hide. So what this does basically, when you are the last man standing or you are the last man standing with another team, you are going to just spam explosives on the team and yourself, and you will take no damage from them, but your teammates are going to. And guess what, you do not have the choice. So again, this comes down to something which is unintentional, and you are having no choice other than to spam explosives such that you are escaping the situation, but you actually harm the teammate in doing so. So again, this is something very antisocial. The same argument can also be made with masking effects. People say that what if I use the masking effect and all these perks properly so that they do not harm the team? The problem is there will always be situations on harder difficulties where you have no choice than to use those perks, and the only effect they can cause is harming the team and being antisocial jackass. This is why everything which I mentioned and all the perks I mentioned in this game, which are antisocial, are actually antisocial, because at some point you do not have the choice. There is no such thing as using the medic class, right? There is no such thing as using a perk such as Ghost, right? There is no such thing as using the Vanguard, right? Because ultimately, the inherent fact of using these classes makes you an antisocial person by causing these antisocial and uncooperative effects in the game, which just decreases the player's time, and they end up dying in the game instead of surviving. Coming to the most anti-social thing in this game is the heavy melee weapon known as sword, and they added this new in the game. Now, what this melee weapon does is restores all your health when you kill a dead teammate, which is a zombie fight teammate. Now, this means that players will use this sword and wait for the team to die at some point so that they get healed. And people are actually doing this. Like, this is not something which is one off or something that nobody is using it. This is actually a really overpowered thing. And if you couple this with a class like Vanguard, which has God mode and does nothing, you could literally be roaming around in the map, let teammates die, and you are surviving really easily. And if you get hit at all, you restore all of that health by just milling a dead teammate who couldn't survive that long as you. So again, this is really antisocial. I cannot really understand why developers would add such a thing in this game. Why would the developers add such a thing and call it a cooperative game when it all it does is basically let your team die so that you can get benefited from it. The third reason why this game World War Z is not a cooperative game is because of the objectives and the map design. Now, I mentioned that you need the team to be alive to do objectives in a cooperative game. It just makes sense that you just cannot allow one person to do every single objective on the hardest difficulty and the team is dead. Now, recently, there have been a lot of updates in the game where they have just added too many perks and buff to the player that they have essentially reduced the difficulty of 5 skulls to 3 skulls. I remember playing this game back in 2020 and I had a hard time playing this game with friends. We had to work together to actually kill the zombies and win because back then there weren't these branded classes like Vanguard and Dronemaster, and there weren't so many buffs in the game for the players. The zombies have essentially remained the same. They are the same as they were before. It's just that now the players are way stronger. The weapons are way stronger such that one player can literally wipe the screen off of zombies by themselves. One player can single-handedly do a solo deadbot run. What this means is they can literally do the work of all the players or the 4 players and solo the game on the hardest difficulty and call themselves good. But in fact, they are just using the broken and the overpowered perks which are not balanced in the game, like combat shotgun, assault shotgun, multi-barrel shotgun, advanced combat weapon. These are all the weapons which are overpowered. If you compare these weapons with the previous versions of this game, almost all of the weapons are buffed and there are no nerfs. Basically, only pistol and battle rifle TS3 got nerfs. But other than that, it is simple logic that when you actually make the game easy by buffing up the player, then at some point on the hardest difficulty, you are not going to need the team to actually survive and to succeed the game, because right now you see a lot of videos of people just soloing the game doing dead bots because it doesn't make the game cooperative at all when you have so many buffs in the game. So this is one thing why the game isn't cooperative. When you look at the maps in this game, the maps themselves, none of these maps have some challenging objectives to do where you need communication, where you need to have the team alive. You could do almost every single map in this game solo and do all the objectives in these maps solo and do not need to have the team. The only harder maps I could think of are Marseille 1, the first map, French Resistance, where there are 2 cutters. So this becomes a harder thing to do because now there are 2 cutters and in solo there are always 1 cutter. So when there are 2 cutters, it becomes harder to do this map because you have to work together to protect them. I could think of a map such as Fighting for Home in Phoenix, where at the end you need the team to get the panels together in certain amount of time to do this objective. This makes this objective a cooperative objective, but at the end you could use masking and Vanguard and a lot of other classes and weapons. So you end up doing this objective solo anyway. So the map design and the fact that the game has given players so many buffs over the years has made this game an antisocial and an uncooperative game. At this point, I want to answer a very important question, which is who is to blame for this? Now, if you have watched my video up until this point and you kind of agree with my points, then you would ask, like, who should I blame? Like, should I blame the players or the designers or the game designers who designed and added these perks? Who should I blame? Now, this is the question of the burden of unintentional misuse. And my answer to this is simple: it always depends on the choice. Now, the players can be blamed a bit because they certainly have the option of choosing better perks. Like, they could use a class called as Gunslinger and choose all the perks which help the team, and it will be a completely cooperative game. It will be a cooperative game always, at all times. There wouldn't be any issue where people are using abilities and causing side effects and harm to other players unintentionally or intentionally. So the player does have the blame a bit because they had the choice of choosing a better class, but they didn't. But I think most of the blame lies to the developers of this game. The most of the blame has to be given to this game itself and the design of this game, because you cannot just force people to play a single class at all times. People need to play and try other classes. They will eventually play this game and try out every single perk and join your games and pubs and everything, and they will use all these perks and cause issues which I have explained you throughout this video. And therefore, the game itself and the developers giving you these choices that you are anyway going to use at some point makes this the problem of the developers and the game design. The burden of unintentional misuse lies mostly on the developers. It doesn't lie that much on the players because the players do not have much choice when they play this game. They have to try all the perks, otherwise, they will just be playing one single class and one set of perks, and it will be boring as hell. That isn't the intention of any game. When you buy this game, when you play this game, you are supposed to use every single aspect in this game as much as possible. The developers have given you access to that. There is freedom to that. But what this does is basically giving these bad abilities, giving these antisocial, uncooperative abilities, and then somehow call it a cooperative game when it isn't. So the burden of misuse lies on the game and not on the player. The burden of misuse in things like friendly fire and in things like placing claymores certainly lies on the player, because while placing claymores there is a choice. There is an intentional choice of planting the claymores, and when you place the claymores bad, you cause issues to the players. In that regard, yes, the burden of intentional misuse is on the players when it comes to claymores and friendly fire. But when it comes to the entire game and the class design, then it certainly lies on the developers. And at the end, I just want to summarize and say that to make this a cooperative game, just get rid of the benefits that players get by reviving and dying and healing, because all they do is that, and they do not do the objectives. They do not actually kill the zombies and protect and actually cure the cause of the problem. They just are bandaging the symptom of the problem. So get rid of this. It will make the game more cooperative. Get rid of overpowered perks and weapons in the game. So when people do not have the overpowered stuff in the game, they will actually need the team to be alive. They will get punished if the team is dead. The game should be punishing when teammates are dead. That's what makes this cooperative game, so that it encourages players to keep their teammates alive so that they accomplish certain tasks. The objectives, lastly, please make the objectives such that you need the team to do the objectives, like in Phoenix 3, for example. Now, the Phoenix 3 objective at the end is a cooperative objective where you need at least one other player to switch, to turn on the switch, to find the switch in certain amount of time, which makes it cooperative. The only problem is that the game is so overpowered with classes and everything and masking that it at the end ends up not being a cooperative objective, because one can just solo both of the panels by themselves, and people have done solo runs like that. So To wrap this up, I hope everyone who watched my video till this point kind of agrees. If you have certain questions, be productive in the comment section, ask questions. I would love to hear from you guys, and I would love to hear from developers. And hopefully, if not, this game is sorted out, and if not, maybe Space Marine 2 comes out and it is a better game. Maybe in future we have better games which actually have cooperative aspects, which I actually said. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Maybe there is content coming up, and I will try to make some content like this in format, and hopefully you like it. So see you guys later. Goodbye.
You've won. It's over. You stopped the invasion and closed the portal. But it's come at a price. Argent, Vega, this entire operation. You see, I've watched you work. Come to understand your motivation. You think the only way is to kill them all, leave nothing behind. And you may be right. But we can't just shut it all down. Without Argent energy, it will be worse. I don't expect you to agree. But with this, we can continue our work. I am not the villain in this story. I do what I do because there is no choice.
Rerouting tether coordinates complete.
Our time is up. I can't kill you, but I won't have you standing in our way. Until we see each other again.